Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a great day. Alright, so here's my second attempt of me trying to do this because, well, my phone decided it wanted to be stupid for today. So here is where I last left off. I only got 5 minutes and 59 seconds into the video and it stopped working on me. I guess because so here it is, guys. Wherever it leaves off, that's where I'm going to pick up. So yeah, be ready for that. Here you go. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a great day. So here is what if Asta was the reincarnation of Ardyn Lucis Ardyn Lucis Caelum. Okay, my bad, guys. So yeah, here's the what if Asta was the reincarnation of Ardyn Lucis Caelum. Okay, so here's part one to that. So our story will start off now. Ardyn will still have the Star Scourge, because the Star Scourge has bonded with him both physically, mentally, and it's bonded with his soul. So therefore, he can't die. The only way he can die is by the true king. Now, I'm going to say that there was some kind of alternate. Noctis wasn't able to get the job done. He banished Ardyn from, dying. And he basically banished Ardyn from Eos, which is the planet that Noctis and them live on, and banished them to the Black Clover world. Now, of course, Ardyn still has all of his royal arms, so he still has his Rakshasa blade. He has all the royal arms that Noctis has. He's still gonna be immortal and eternally young. Basically. Now, he will be getting some new abilities added onto him. However, Bahamut, he fell asleep, and he decided to give Ardyn a second chance. However, he still thinks that Ardyn should still atone, but he should still be given a second chance at a new life. Now, he'll still have all of his memories and everything, all of his skills, everything. And Ifrit will still, Ifrit the Invernian will still be subjugated to Ardyn, so therefore he will obey every last one of Ardyn's commands. Now, in order for me to make this work, see, Ardyn, when he takes over, he will receive what I will call the King's Grimoire. Now, or how I should say, the one is called the True King's Grimoire. Now, or better yet, the Divine King's Grimoire. Basically, it's a grimoire crafted by the gods themselves to give to Ardyn. Basically saying, hey man, sorry for putting you through that torturous stuff, but here, we're giving you this super powerful grimoire. Now, Ardyn he's already forged a covenant, well, obviously with Ifrit. He'll have to forge covenants with the other gods in order to get them, to summon. And those are basically going to be his trump card. Now, Ardyn will still have all the same powers from Final Fantasy 15, and if you played episode Ardyn, then you know all the abilities that Ardyn has. And if you haven't, done research on him. He has like a lot of cool abilities, and he's very overpowered. And basically, yeah. Now, he will also be getting, he's obviously getting some new powers, and he's getting some new weaponry. Now, I'm basically saying that their arsenal is kind of like Gilgamesh's, you know. Basically, it gives them an unlimited, you know, they can store any weapon into, well, he can store any weapons in his little, well, not little, but infinite space of weapons, or clothing, or armor, and that's another thing. See, but that will be for later on down the road. So, Ardyn, he's in the Black Clover universe. Of course, Bahamut, along with all the other gods, along with Ifrit. Now, Ifrit is standing by Ardyn, and they've actually been, you know, saying how this world's kind of like the Final Fantasy 15 world, like Eos. So basically, hold on guys, I need to get me something to drink. I'm having a dry throat. Hold on. And yeah, so that's where I last left off, so hold on guys. Alright, sorry about that guys. So, obviously I already got my drink, so I'm ready to go. So, basically, Ardyn, Bahamut says, alright, Ardyn, I can't do Bahamut's voice, it's like really deep and echoey, so obviously I can't echo a voice unless I have like a voice modulator, which I don't, so, ooh, excuse me. Okay, whew, spicy. Alright, so, anyway, Ardyn and Ifrit are currently just, and Ardyn's like saying, so, he says, even then, so, it looks like even now, the gods still can't keep their promises. I was supposed to be granted death, release, and not only that, but revenge on the line of my brother Somnus. So what now? Are you going to make me suffer another curse? Another sacrifice for another ill, false king? And this is when Bahamut says, no, you will actually... Alright, I'm going to try to do my best Bahamut voice. No, you will be given a new chance. You are going to become the king that you were supposed to be before your brother. I'm sorry, guys. I just can't do it. It's too hard on my throat. I can't go that deep. So. Ow, shoot. Okay, so. Anyway, Bahamut says you're going to become the king that you were. Well, you're not going to. Obviously, you're not going to become the king. Because, well, you know. But we are going to put you. We're going to give you a chance. Like Regis had. You will be, basically, he'll be, I guess you can say, be protecting a boy. Of course, this boy will be Asta. Now, Ardyn will be dwelling within, and Bahamut says you'll be dwelling within this boy. His name is Asta. And he says, and Ardyn says, and so... what is he of any concern to me? Say, this boy is basically your redemption. You will live inside him. You will protect him. Safeguard him. He will also be sharing your immortality, your eternal youth, your indestructible body, your immortal body. Well... actually, nah. Like, well, yes, but at the same time, no. Like, he won't. Like, the only time he'll look like Ardyn is when Ardyn switches places with him, and he'll actually. And it will actually be like a transformation, so his body will grow to the height and width and basically to the size of Ardyn. His face will change, his hair color, like, basically everything will change to look. And Ardyn will, when he transforms into Ardyn's body, Ardyn will actually, this is when Ardyn's immortality will reemerge, and basically through Ardyn, Asta will have like a form of immortality. So only when he transforms into Ardyn will he gain immortality and an eternally young body and an indestructible body. So basically, here are the conditions. One, Asta either has to relinquish control to Ardyn, or if Ardyn senses that Asta will be in life-threatening danger, he'll take over. Or if he just, well, Ardyn has like a very overpowering willpower, so he can just dominate Asta's willpower. And Asta has like very high willpower, but Ardyn has like, I mean, he basically subjugated a god, so I highly doubt that Asta will be able to overpower that. So basically, whenever Ardyn decides he wants to come out and have a little fun. And finally, whenever Asta's asleep. So basically, whenever Asta's asleep, Ardyn will basically be taking over. Now remember, he'll have all of his memories, all of his magic, all of his royal arms, his weaponry, his arsenal, everything. The only thing that he will be getting some new powers and abilities that wasn't originally within the game, but they did introduce it within the book. I don't know if you guys read the book, but the book is actually pretty good, and I would highly give it a recommendation. And obviously, I'm adding some new powers, just to kind of like make the story more interesting, and new weaponry, and some familiar weaponry, but it still makes sense though. And of course, he will also be able to summon all the gods. So that will be the one thing. Well, not the one, but he'll still be, when Ardyn takes over and he transforms Asta's body into his original body, Ardyn's body will be immortal, eternally young, basically indestructible, and his body will still have the experience and the same power as when he was in the Final Fantasy 15 world. So yeah, so basically they send Ardyn down, and a free kind of just dissipates into flames and goes inside of Ardyn's grimoire, and Ardyn's grimoire, it's gonna have the Lucius symbol, the Lucius family crest on it. So instead of a Clover grimoire, it'll have Lucius's family crest on the grimoire. Now, obviously, it's going to be way more stronger than a 5-leaf clover grimoire. Matter of fact, it will be the strongest grimoire in existence, even to the point where it can even overpower Cornelius. I mean, not Cornelius. Julius, yeah, the Wizard King's grimoire. Now you may be wondering, hold on, but Julius has time magic, so basically he could just stop Ardyn. See, that's just the thing. Time does not affect Ardyn, because one, he's immortal. I mean, even Ardyn stated himself, even the gods, they couldn't stop time for Ardyn because Ardyn is, well, immortal. He's unaffected. That comes with the territory. He's unaffected by time. He doesn't he exists outside the realm of time, but he lives in the world where time exists, but it doesn't exist for him. And obviously, since he's immortal, he doesn't need food, rest. He doesn't need food, sleep, or anything else. And obviously, he'll be able to walk in the daylight. Of course, he'll just have to cover up. But, I mean, obviously, he can heal faster than the sunlight can damage him. So, light magic will be ineffective against him. And basically, anything will be ineffective against him. Now, he can still demonify humans and creatures. And let's see, am I forgetting it? He can transform into a miasma of darkness, and he can also control and manipulate darkness. Create, control, and manipulate darkness to his will. And of course, he'll be able to summon hordes and legions of demons. Now, of course, I'm not talking about D-E-M-O-N. I'm talking about D-A-E-M-O-N, demons. At first, I thought they were pronounced daemons, but apparently it's just demons. The A is silent. Now, obviously, this will be a huge a huge bonus for Ardyn. So anyway, Ardyn, he descends upon the Black Clover world, and of course he then proceeds to enter the body of a baby Asta. Now, of course, this is when the priest finds Asta and Yuno. Well, let's see, I was about to stop it. I wasn't about to let this video quit on me now. So, obviously, the priest finds Asta and Yuno. Whew. Now, and of course, he takes them in. Now, of course, when Asta's sleeping or crying, obviously not when he's a baby, but when he, basically, Asta has to become self-aware. He has to be able to think, speak, talk, and walk before he can actually transform into Ardyn. Now, when they turn 15, see, I paid attention. I remembered, guys. When they turn 15, that's when they're going to get their grimoires. Or obviously, Asta's still going to get the 5-leaf clover grimoire of the anti-magic devil. Now, since Ardyn's a separate being, but he still lives within Asta, that doesn't affect him because, well, one, divine protection. Hello, I mean, yeah, good luck. You're basically, it's like what happens when an unstoppable force meets an unmovable object. It's kind of like that. Now, obviously, Asta, when Asta has been actually spending a lot of time by himself. Now, he kind of acts like the same Asta that we know, but the only difference is that he still gets excited and stuff, but most of the time he kind of has Ardyn's personality. Well, he doesn't have Ardyn's personality per se, but he does read a lot of books to make himself more smarter, and he's obviously learned a lot of different fighting styles. This will be beneficial to Ardyn. Now, this is because Ardyn's kind of influencing him, saying, hey, you need to read this so that way you can be ready for this. And of course, now Asta's also been reading a lot about plants. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. Plants? What do you mean plants? Obviously, plants with a lot of healing capabilities, plants with poison or hallucination. Now this is because, again, this is Ardyn kind of influencing Asta's decision. Now, Asta, of course, is doing this. He's actually very smart. He's about to Ardyn's level of intelligence. Now, Ardyn is kind of... Now, Asta still... Now, he isn't able to influence him to the point to where he can... where Asta wants to manipulate his way. You know, he still believes in hard work. However, Ardyn will take more of a manipulative, you know, use you to your advantage. Use you to his advantage. You know, play on your weaknesses, or, you know, things that you're sensitive about, or things that you fear, or that you're most scared of, or, you know, stuff like that. Now, of course, okay. Now, Asta, again, by himself, he's at the Demon Skull. Now, of course, this is when basically Asta has his first transformation into Ardyn. Now, what happens is a bunch of adults royals basically see Asta sitting inside the Demon Skull reading a book. If he's not reading a book, then he's training his body. You know. But let's just say, for the sake of it, he's reading a book. Of course, they come in and says, "So, you're the peasant with no magical powers." Now, of course, these are full-grown adults who already have their grimoires. And they're picking on a little kid who doesn't have a grimoire, let alone any magical power whatsoever. Now, they take away the book and they say, "Battle strategy? That's funny, because I don't sense no magical power coming from you, little peasant boy." He says, "Wait, could it possibly be that you're magicless?" And Asta says, "No, that's not." And of course, they open up their grimoire and say, "Fool, did we give you permission to talk to us?" He said, "Well, you must pay for your sins." Now, of course, obviously them being a whole lot more powerful than Asta, this is when Ardyn decides to take over. However, to kind of make it more terrifying, this actually happens to be at night. And Asta kind of overstayed his time limit, you know, being off by himself. Of course, this is when, you know, they send Yuno to go out and look for Asta. Now, obviously, Yuno knows about Asta's little hideout that he lives in. Well, not lives in, but where he goes to be alone and be by himself and have time to think by himself. Now, of course, Yuno, he gets there. Well, he doesn't, he gets there, but he gets there for the exciting part. The moment Yuno gets there, they see them beating on Asta. And now this is when Asta kind of just like spaces out. And this is when Ardyn says, well, it looks like it's my time to finally come out. Now, this is probably when they're about 14. So this is like a year before they go get their grimoires. So when Yuno gets there, he says, "Dang, royal scum." He's like, and like right when he's about to come in and stand up for Asta, this is when Asta they says, "So," the royals say, "So, how does it feel being," he says, they say, "So, how does it feel being where you belong? On the ground, you peasants have no right to look upon us royals. We will crush you in an instant, as obviously as you well see." Now, of course, he's looking and he's trying to figure out, where would be a good spot to attack them from to save Asta. Now, this is when Ardyn says, Oh my, it looks like I need to go out there. Now, I'm trying to do my best Ardyn's voice, and he's like, well, well, well. So it looks like no matter what the world I'm in, there's always going to be stupid royals claiming that they're better than everybody. Now, this is when he basically mentally, in Asta's mental landscape, he basically tosses Asta into the backseat because Asta got knocked out. And this is when Ardyn starts emerging. Now, you see his brown, almost amberish looking eyes. You see Asta's hair color turn from white to reddish violet. And matter of fact, you start seeing his entire body morph and change. And starting to get surprised. He says, wait, is this? No, this is something else. And basically, everybody's looking in horror. Well, everybody who's present at the Demon Skull. So the royals and are all terrified of what they're witnessing, seeing a morphing. And of course, Asta transforms into, well, a fully grown male. Now, obviously, Ardyn puts on some clothes using his magic relatively quickly. Now, obviously, this isn't magic from his grimoire. This is more like, well, actually, let's just say it kind of just magically appeared. The clothes magically appeared, and Ardyn, well, except for the hat comes like it's in Ardyn's hand, and then he puts it on top of his head, and he says, so, well, well, well. Look at what we have here. He says, well, lucky you all. You all get to know the sweet release of death. And this is when they say, I don't know what happened, but you're still a peasant. And he said, me, a peasant? No, I am a king. Sent here to rule over you all. Now, obviously, this is when the grimoire, the Divine King's grimoire opens up and appears right in front of Ardyn. He says, oh, grimoire, time to open up. And of course, the grimoire opens. Now, everybody can't get a magical, like, even he's trying to sense, he's like, and Ardyn hasn't even, let his magical presence, but just Ardyn's bloodlust alone is enough to, put pressure on you. It feels like you're already going to die. Now, when he adds his magical power on top of that, it feels like you're about to be obliterated out of existence. For sure that you're about to be obliterated. So, this is when he releases about, I'm going to say, 5%. No, I'm not even going to say... Ardyn is not one... He just goes full power right off the gate. So, he's kind of like Asta in that way. They both like going full power right off the bat. So, he's like... he says, now, where was I? Oh, yes. Let's see. Let's flip through these pages. Oh, yes. What better way to wreak retribution? But not just any retribution. Divine retribution. And he says, Yoo-hoo, Ifrit. And he says, say hello to the fire god, Ifrit, the Infernian. Now, of course, this is when Ifrit would burst, come flame-wise, flames. He starts materializing. Hold on, I'll bring up a picture of Ifrit. And this is when Ifrit emerges, looking like this. Yeah, like this. And he says, Infernian, use Firaga. Now, he can command Ifrit what to do, and Ifrit will have to do it. So, yeah, I mean... And Ifrit starts talking in the language of the gods, and using... And of course, right, he uses his free hand that you see. He uses his, let's see, from where he's standing, it looks like his left hand. So he uses his left hand to summon like a big, gigantic fireball. Obviously, this is Faraga, and it's like the strongest, well, not the strongest fire spell, but it's the strongest out of the basic fire spells. Now, of course, this is when he says, Ifrit, Faraga. And of course, this is when he just throws down the fire, killing the two of the royals, leaving one of the royals injured and the other one basically on fire, but he's rolling out and he's like terrified and he's about to like run away. But this is when Ardyn, hold on. But this is when Ardyn just, with pure physical speed alone, just comes right in front of the royal, and this is when he just grabs the royal by his throat and he says, "So, you thought you were just gonna get away and hurt that boy, huh? Well, it looks like I need to demonify you." And he's like, and the royal's like, "Demonify? What do you mean?" And of course, hold on. Now this is when Ardyn's face would start turning gray and blackish blood starts leaking out of his eyes. And the whites of his eyes turns completely black. And his color, his iris, turns completely golden. And blood just starts leaking out of his eyes and out of his mouth. And he says, "Demonification." And of course, this is when he just starts, the guy just starts getting demonified. And of course, after he gets completely demonified, Ardyn assimilates him and adds him into his body, gaining his memories and his magical powers. Well, what he seems to be his. He says, "So, this is all you have? Such weak magic, I could never use this." Of course, he discards the weak magic, and he says, "Absolutely useless. However, you will make a perfect demon. As a matter of fact, here, take your weak magic." Of course, the body just completely disintegrates out of darkness. He says, "Now, as for you, oh, I have special plans for you." And he's about to demonify him. He says, "Better yet, oh, I know. Ifrit, you can go now." Of course, this is when Ifrit would how should I say this? Dematerializes. Hold on, I'll go back to regular Ardyn. Now, this is when Ardyn, he goes back, his skin goes back to its normal color. The black in his eye goes back to white, and his eye color goes back to that of a brownish color. He says, and the blood's like disappears. So yeah. Now, obviously, this is the darkness inside of him, or the Star Scourge. He says, "Now, for you, I have a special." Now, this is when he whips out, I'm just going to say, a simple dagger from his arsenal. He says, "Let's see, let me search my little arsenal." Of course, he's meaning this in a playful way, and obviously in a joking way, because he knows that his arsenal is not small, it's actually relatively big, like infinitely big. And he just pulls out a simple dagger and slit the man's throat. And he says, "There, off you go." He says, "Well," and the royal says, "Wait." And of course, he says, "Wait, well, actually, you know what? Hold on, before he slits his throat." The royal says, "Wait, I'll give you anything. I'll give you all the money you want. Just name your price." He's like, "Unfortunately, you don't have what I want." And of course, "You're lucky." And he says, "How am I lucky?" He's like, "Wait, are you going to let me live?" And he says, "Oh, heavens, no. I'm saying you're lucky. How lucky you are to know the sweet release of death." And he says, huh? And this is when he slits the man's throat. And remember, Yuno has witnessed all of this. He says, well, 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 time for me to let the boy have control. Now, obviously, this is when he starts morphing back into Asta's body, and Asta starts taking control, and his clothes, including the hat, disappears like darkness, and it dematerializes and it goes away. And Asta's clothes are back on, and Asta's back to his same height, same hair colors, same eye color, everything. Back to his same height, same body tone, everything. So Yuno has basically kept this secret. He doesn't want to let Asta know until he actually, because he wants to confront the man with the hat, as he calls him. Now, a year later, this will obviously be the time for Asta and Yuno have finally both turned 15. It's time for them to go get their grimoires. Obviously, Yuno will be getting the 4-leaf clover grimoire. Now, one of the royals start talking down to Asta. Actually, no, I take that back. Asta, he hears Yuno's in trouble. Of course, he jumps out. Of course, the chain wizard, the chain mage, is using chain magic to restrain Yuno from using his grimoire. And of course, Asta says, "Don't worry, Yuno, I'm gonna save you." And of course, you know how Asta is with that spunky personality. He goes after charging the chain wizard, but this is when he says, "Idiot, coming at me without a grimoire." Of course, this is when he throws another chain, and it throws Asta up against the wall. He says, "Huh, that's funny. You have no magic power whatsoever." And this is when Asta falls into despair. Now, of course, this is when Yuno says, "No, he's my rival. The one who's going to become the Wizard King. My rival to become the Wizard King." And this is when Asta remembers his promise. And this is when the anti-magic devil's 5-leaf clover grimoire manifests and appears right in front of Asta. And of course, the Demon Slayer sword appears. And of course, he takes the Demon Slayer sword and cuts the chains off. And of course, he starts coming at the chain wizard at incredible physical speed, hitting him and knocking him out, and letting the magical guards, take him into prison. And Asta puts his Demon Slayer sword back into the 5-leaf clover grimoire. He says, look, I got my grimoire." He says, "I always knew you would." And Yuno has a flashback to on that day when he transformed into Ardyn the first time. And he's like, "I'll never forget that day. As long as I live, I will never forget that day." So, obviously, they have a... you know what? Let's see. Oh, excuse me. You know what? Nah, I think this is a good place to leave the video off. So, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys thought about this. I'm actually excited for this. I like Final Fantasy 15. And I also, like Black Clover. So, I said, you know what? Why not combine the two? I think it'd be very interesting. And, of course, don't forget to share this video with all your friends on your social media platforms. And keep an eye out for the Batman Who Laughs for tonight. Without further ado, guys. Now, of course, I'll probably have to keep that video short. But don't worry, the next video of the Batman Who Laughs will be a whole lot longer than the next one that's coming up right now. But without further ado, guys, see you guys later, and peace out, my homies.